This is a book review of The Walking Dead Comics Companion. Now, I'm a mega fan of the TV series. I've read a number of the comic books. I wouldn't say that I've read all of them consistently, but it's still fascinating to read, compare the difference between the series. So this book, thoroughly useful reference book. The only weird thing is this book came out in 2016 and it includes about 175 odd pages, predominantly in colour and black and white as well, because of course the comic book is in black and white. However, it doesn't end where the series finally ends. I can't remember what issue it was now, 161 or something. Now, weirdly, this goes all the way up to issue 150. You've got right at the start. I'm just going to quickly go. Yeah, issues 141 to 150. And I assume that that's where the book cuts off. So obviously only 11 issues to go, and then they bring out this massive tome. Most of. However, that's a minor criticism. I think this is actually a really enjoyable read. And this is from Titan Books, obviously part of Skybound. And you've got loads and loads of things. This one's got lots and lots of scenes from the obviously the comic book. So if you don't know anything about the comic book, it's going to be a really weird one to come to. I'm not certain which order I would say that I would come to it, because if you don't know anything about all the Whisperers and Negan and things, this is going to probably be a bit, and all the various characters, you're going to be confused. And actually, if you come from it, of course, from the TV series, in some ways it's even more confusing, because you start thinking, well, hang on, so Carol and Sophia was, yeah, that's very confusing. And also, of course, the Laurie Grimes as well. So all the various guys, Shane, there's quite a lot of differences. So it's quite interesting just to read through and think, oh, really? Did that happen? Why did that happen earlier than, or why did they change that? So there's a lot of it. And you got like good old Carl here, Carl Grimes. You've got Carl Grimes, and you've got Andrea. You've got all the regulars that were in the series. Michonne, Maggie. And also it's quite interesting when you look at them. Obviously you get used to the TV series, and you then see Maggie in here, and obviously it's different. Actually, to be honest, she looks more like Maggie, the Love and Rockets Maggie, but maybe that's just... But obviously later on there's a different hairstyle. She's got a shorter hairstyle. So keeping romance alive in an undead world. And it's got lots of different sections. Actually, there's quite funny sections as well. You've got like little diaries by zombies in it, just stuck in there. Also, of course, you've got about Glenn, good old Glenn, and fan favourite, one of the most fearless characters in the series. March to War. You've got lots about Negan, etc. Walking Dead focuses on the lengths people will go to keep themselves alive. And it is. I think that's the case. I love this thing. It's to me, it isn't really for zombies. I mean, it was initially. When I first started watching, of course, it's a soap opera. So you like the characters. There's loads of characters I've done. And then, of course, you always... With all these things, my favourite one is you watching it and you think, why has that character got a little bit more storyline than usual? You know, you suddenly, or they fall in love with a character at the start of the episode. You're thinking, they're not going to last this episode. And normally that's the case. It's always it seems to be a... But Secret Diary of a Walker. I don't know if the comic book's as bad as that, but there's a certain consistency, because the comic book, you start reading the start of the comic book and you think, oh, will the character last at the end? And that's always the thing, of course. Like Abraham here. Got Abraham, you got Eugene, you got the Guide to the Whisperers, and articles, obviously a lot of great articles about all the various people that were involved in it. This one, Eric Stevenson, and then we go through the editors, Walking Dead editors, the inking. So you got the inking about the Walking Dead, Charles Adlard, as well as many more, obviously Robert Kirkman, etc. So there's some really good and a great end as well. What a brilliant last page as well. So this is just Absolute gem of a book. It's one of those books you wonder, I wonder if they'll update it at some point. I assume they will, to finish it off. Maybe it'll be like another 200, 300 pages of information about The Walking Dead once we finally get to the end of the TV series, and obviously the comic book has finished, of course. I did enjoy the last comic book of The Walking Dead. That was brilliant. And of course, Walking Dead, of course, is just recently they've just started bringing out the colour versions of The Walking Dead from issue 1. So that's another thing to check out as well. So there's the back, and just open it up so you can just see. Now it doesn't open. I mean, obviously it's not going to be the best in terms of how it opens up. This sort of books generally never are, but it's just great, thoroughly enjoyable read. And I'm really glad I got this. So I finally learned a little bit more about The Walking Dead, because a lot of these things in this, virtually all of it actually, I must admit, not familiar with, because, as I said, more from the TV side. So it's a great comics companion. I'm glad they put comics companion. We've been using, Walking Dead companion, and then get it and find it's nothing to do with the TV series particularly. However, comics companion, brilliant.